So it's a new year. The purpose of this class or this podcast is for you to think how you start the year. I had this big realization around the sign and the energy we start the year. I don't know if you have listened to the first podcast of this season, which is about the death that happens every time in the new year. It's an energy that I go through. And some people around the world also feel the same. They don't feel the hype of the new year. They feel that something is dying inside. Every new year, even if I'm in the most gorgeous place in the world, and every time is such a strange vibe that I'm celebrating. I could not explain you why, but this year I dropped in and I meditated. I'm like, why do I feel this death? There is this, it makes no sense for me to celebrate, or there is a new me. Because actually, to start something new, a new energy, new project, there is a death process that always comes before. And me as a Pisces in the 8th house, and a person who is deeply in the path of Scorpio and understanding the reincarnation process, why we are always here, why we reincarnate, what is our purpose, understanding the mysteries, what's hidden, what are our blind spots, what make us stop in life, what makes us expand, what makes us have certain things that are not. I'm constantly in this question, who we are and why are we here. And so I realized that before a beginning, there is an end. And the new year is the time that if I start to put, as people do, what are the desires, which are the new 12 celebrations, the new 12 milestones, I always think of the year before. What did I said that I would do? Or who is the person that I said that I would become that somehow I didn't commit until the end, or I haven't achieved, or it didn't go through the end. Like I feel it's not complete, that process. What is the relationship that ended and I didn't fully process yet? Because for the new year, what is not with you anymore, but you haven't fully processed, there is some residue that is still in your heart and you don't want to bring into the new year. So you have to process it. So all the unfinished businesses, all the unfinished situationships, all the unfinished emotions that you still had to process, and you said like, no, now I'm not going to process, now I'm on vacation, now I'm postponing, I have to focus on my business, I will process it later. In the end of the year, when you have this proposal of the universe, do you want to step into the new? You say yes. But the invitation, okay, so then let's leave behind what's from the past year. Let's live in the past year what is in the past year. And this explained why, in the end of the year, I tend to enter into an internal ceremony, an internal process of release. Some people say it is also because it's here winter. Normally, if it would be sunny, we would be feeling differently. If it would be, maybe if you're in Brazil and it's super sunny, but honestly, I have done multiple New Year's in Brazil. I have done 2 years ago, I was in Bali and super hot. I think it has to do with the depth that you move in life, the depth that you search, the depth that you live in your life. And the last year was a lot to process. Because most of you have been already celebrating, we enter in the year of the horse. Have you heard this? In Chinese astrology, we are starting every year, a new year, and it's associated with the animal, right? We haven't started yet because normally we don't start with a Western astrology. We start with a Chinese astrology, which will happen soon. And last year was the year of the serpent. Of course, we think of Kundalini awakening and orgasms and all of that, but was a year of deep shedding. For me, was one of the most difficult years of my life. It started amazing, then had big downs. I had a health problem in my body. It was a consequence of a nervous system breakdown, an emotional breakdown, something that I was procrastinating to process and to let go. And last year I had the courage to go deep into those wounds. There was a radical transformation. There were relationships that needed to disappear from my life. There were friends that I thought that they were everything for me, that for me was a betrayal. I thought that they were my best friends for life, and turned out we had a contract with an end. And amazing new friendships entered, and friendships that I already had deepened, the real ones. So I aligned myself with who I truly am. The snake speaks about alchemy. It's a very scorpionic path. So it activates my natural north node in Scorpio, which is about alchemy, which is about transformation. For those who have been in my work, it's about deep internal transformations. It's about deep alchemy of your soul. It's about becoming a more mature woman. It's about knowing how to process very deep emotions. It's about overcoming and having the personal power to overcome very hard challenges in life. The people who are attracted to my work are normally old souls, and souls who are here with a great karma to overcome, that go through hard challenges, not easygoing lives, hard challenge. They are tested hardly by the universe, and this is all to reclaim their personal power. So my work is mainly about power, is mainly about retrieving this capacity to have a nervous system, to have a body, and to have an emotional intelligence to overcome real situations in life. So it's not just about seeing, our dreams and possibilities, but about aligning ourselves through looking at what is really not working, observing our blind spots. And so last year I became a master on that, because the snake really invited me into a massive realignment, and I paid hardly the consequences of every decision I have made that was not fully aligned with who I am. From losing friends, from losing the house I was living, from losing opportunities, things that completely went through my hands as a consequence of misalignments that I was feeding in my life, that were obvious to let go, were obvious that I had to change them. But I was in fear. There was a part of myself that was still operating from fear, from the survival wound, from the abandonment wound. And we are going towards the most important year of this new age, which is next year. Next year will be the year that anymore will be tolerated bullshit. People who haven't done personal development, who are completely off center, who are unable to see their blind spots, don't act in integrity in this reality, are going to have a very hard time. People who just work for money, people who just who are not aligned with their true mission, because we all came here in this time for a great mission, for something that is just beyond the individual mission, beyond what your dreams. It's something that is collective, it's human evolution. And we all have a part in this big puzzle. And the answers are inside, are in our soul, in the connection with who we are. So all those who are not operating from what is our true mission, what we came here to be, are not going to have an easy life. And this is why is happening all this craziness in the world. People who are doing personal development are expanding. People who are completely off center are becoming even more crazy. So you will see big contrasts in life. People who seem completely crazy, how the hell is this working? And people who, have you been, I want to see also the percentage on how you see this, how many people you go around, or your perception, that you look into the world and you see, wow, there is a lot of people expanding and awakening. And sometimes you are in places and you just hear people saying, the world is going crazy, everyone is crazy, this is completely crazy. Or even this is your perception, even, that everyone is going crazy. How is the perception of you watching, oh my God, people are going crazy, it's just these wars. Maybe you are overexposed to the news and you are seeing, what's going in the world, in US, and like crazy things, the wars. Or the perception is that the world is expanding. I'm curious to see how you are observing the world. Where are we truly going? So my perception is, for example, I see both. I'm very exposed to both worlds. And I see people who are completely off center, and people who are off center are going even more off center. People who are expanding even more. Okay, because this is energy of expansion. And so people are upgrading and accelerating crazy for those that want. And those who don't understand, who cannot keep up with this energy, are completely going off center. Because last year we had a great opportunity to do shadow work. A great opportunity to see this blind spot. More than expanding, was about releasing, was about healing, was about letting go, was about feeling the wounds, was about releasing also the ancestral trauma, wound, and generational trauma that you had. It was crazy. Last year came. Have you seen in the Golden Globes won the movie of the secret agent? And I did a Telegram transmission in November when I saw it. When it came to the cinema at the time, it was insane. That movie I so recommend everyone should watch, because it's about remembering how life was and why there is so much generational trauma in our society. How those times created people with huge amount of fear. And somehow in our subconscious, without realizing, we are being dominated by those times. We are being dominated by that fear, the fear of speaking our voices. Where does it come? It's incredible that this movie came last November and won a Golden Globe, and I really wish that everyone can see this. The Secret Agent, a Brazilian movie, by the way. So it remembers why it came this. We cannot speak our voices. We cannot really express. There are blockages around sexuality. There are blockages around singing, around coming out and saying what you want to say, saying no, being who you want to be, because you are afraid that others will judge. But where is this coming from? It's beyond the childhood traumas. It's sometimes even beyond our parents. We are the first generation that is affected by that hasn't lived that time, but is affected, because our parents were the first generation that already lived in the transition of dictatorship from the world we are living now. So they are in a transition, but what they have in our bodies, in their bodies, passed through our bodies. okay? And we have those fears, but we don't know where they come from because we haven't lived those times. But it's in our bodies. And it's important. That's why it's important to understand history. It's important to understand, question ourselves, because this is the first generation, this questioning, because why are we afraid to be like that? Why am I afraid to say my truth? Right? This makes no sense. Can I do different? We are the first generation that has the opportunity to do self personal development from an early age, question ourselves, and truly be ourselves, to be the example, to be the people who are going to be revolutionary. What is a sign if people are off center? The main theme of this class, which is about embodiment. When you feel disconnected from your body, when you feel life, you feel, for example, if you're a woman, you are disconnected from your magnetism. You don't feel aliveness. You don't feel a vital force energy. You are not in love with anything in your life. When you don't have passion every day in your life. When you feel things are not flowing, there is no flow in life. Two different poles. So, this class is about embodiment because this was the snake year last year. And this year is about embodiment. What is embodiment? What the horse teaches us. What is the great invitation for this year? What is the most important year? The most important thing that is being asked us to expand. Last year was about releasing, was about alchemy. Those who are doing deep alchemical processes, deep alchemies, are going to have a great year this year. And what is the invitation for the year? Embodiment. When you think about the horse is all, the energy the horse gives us is about personal power. The power to overcome anything. It's an animal that is about action, runs fast, is full of life force energy, is strong. There is also a masculine aspect. Snake is pretty feminine. It's about this really this shedding. About Kundalini as well. Alchemy, the dark goddess. The horse is fire, is action, is embodiment, is bold, is aliveness. It's all the themes around the solar plexus. That, by the way, it's also where we store most of our emotions. It's about emotional power, sexual power, vital force, energy, aliveness. Is the year to reclaim the maximum capacity and master the art of vitality. This is the great key of the year. This is what's going to make you expand for the whole entire year. I was listening to a masterclass of one of, in my opinion, the best mentors of this generation that really speaks about deep themes about humanity. Most of you know Melanie. And I want to really credit her because she said something in this masterclass that I have been saying for so long. And I recorded a podcast. I don't know if you saw the sexual energy if you are single, how to reclaim this vital force energy and its different expression, because many people think because they're not having sex, they don't have sexual energy. but it's not true. Just because you don't have a sexual active life at the moment doesn't mean that you are not full of aliveness and vital force energy. And that podcast is around that and speaks about the themes of what makes a person burn out. And it was interesting because she was saying she started the class asking how many people that we know that we that are rich, but there is always something. Oh, but they're not happy. But they don't have a good relationship. They don't experience intimacy. But then she asked, and how much people in poverty that are financially struggling that are also in burnout? A lot or even more. I know a lot of people who struggle financially. If you are struggling financially, you've you are your tendency is to burn out, because one of the things that money gives us is security and comfort, makes our bodies relax. There is at least one thing that we don't have to worry about that makes the bodies relax, right? But I have to tell you, most of my one-on-ones are very wealthy people who come to me not because they want to work on, prosperity or business, or they have made it. They come to me because they want to retrieve vital force. They want to learn these tools to reclaim vital force energy. And my method is not just about practices nowadays, if you are in my work, are about you looking into your blind spots, because it's in your blind spots that the energy is leaking. The work I do with people is you watching at your shadows, because most likely the shadows that you haven't looked at are dominating your life and you are sucking your vital force energy. So the work that we do is profoundly deep. It's working to the hidden places they have never looked in their lives, the themes, deep themes. In my program last year, I included themes I have never included, like the survival wound, how to come out of survival wound. And many people went in my, can tell you 80% of them, we are like 24 there. And almost all had no idea that they were in survival until they made the program, until we made that class, which is the first class immediately about survival. Where are you operating from survival? Where are you operating from urgency? Where are you operating from lack? Where are you? And until you see the examples, you don't really identify with them. This is why this is so important. The blind spot, what it means are places, spots that we don't see because we are blind. And those are sucking our vital force energy. This year is about retrieving back our vital force energy. It's about looking where you are acting unconsciously from abandonment. Very few people have full awareness. There are really subtle levels, subtle attitudes that we do, ways that we behave from wanting to be seen, that really comes from a lack, from not being seen when we were young, or from wanting to be heard. And then we operate from a place that is not in fully alignment and attracts the wrong target. How do we heal that? How do we resolve? That's the question. But how can I resolve that? Through coming back to our bodies. Coming back into the body. In our bodies, there is all our trauma imprinted. When we connect with our bodies, that's why when people start to do my work, they remember even past lives, because you touch certain parts of your skin and you remember and you understand and you awaken a higher intelligence. You gain a higher understanding of life. It's like you have different lens and you start to see more. Like it was all dirty and you start to see the whys, where it comes from, how old it is. And this is life-changing. When you release something in your body that is blocking you, when you do the release, when you do the death first, when you heal, this is when all the aliveness, all the vital force energy comes. And in that day, I woke up, I was like new. My face, my glow, everything. I was actually sad and because of course I was premenstrual, but as you see what was going on, right? I did a breath work before going to sleep, a specific one that is for release, and I had that dream. I was like, whatever I have to release from my body for the menstruation to fully come, and like it has to come. And after that, there was a profound orgasmic aliveness that was coming out of my body. Like the dream, I woke up like, wow, this is what I came here for. We came here to live that. We came here to have this aliveness. We came here to experience relationships in the way that gives us the most vitality possible, in the way that expands us, in the way that makes us better human beings, right? So coming back to her inside, and if you listen to my podcast, I share that. It was incredible because it was the first mentor that was speaking about, wealth and said this. So she said something like, burnout has nothing to do with how much you have. It's about how you are experiencing things and your vitality, the way you are doing things. And what I'm always telling you? When you have vital force energy, when you are in this aliveness, when you release, when you do the deep shadow work, you are fully alive. I'm always saying, I have 2 businesses. I'm constantly working. I work from morning to the night. I work the full Sunday and I don't burn out. When I had last year, my burnout had nothing to do with my business. Actually, the little had to do with my business was with the misaligned people I was working with. It's not the amount of work that drains you. It's the lack of love in the way you are doing things, the lack of vitality that you are doing things, the lack of passion you have for something. Because if you are really doing something that you love, and love is not something that you force, I'm going to do this with love. Love is something that comes naturally. Or you love what you do, or you don't love. Or there is chemistry with the person that you want, your man, your partner. There is chemistry, or there is not chemistry. This is something that has to come naturally. If you are constantly in burnout, you are off center. Has nothing to do with money. Has nothing, and this was so important. It was the first time I saw someone that is a wealth mentor saying this, because people, they think that it's a burnout. It has to do with work. It has nothing to do with the work or the amount of hours. Is that you are doing something that is not charging. If you have a job, if you have something that drains you, it's not fully aligned. Of course, if I tell you to work 20 hours in a row, of course you're going to be tired because you are human. But if you do something like 2 hours that you're already like, I'm exhausted, like this, there's something off there. Of course, there are things in my business that drain me sometimes. Some administrative tasks that I'm like, it's not my skill, but also I'm doing this because I need to learn, because my business is growing and I'm still in the process of hiring and growing the team. One day I will be able to do just what I want. So it's just a matter of time. But the things that I know that I love, if I do them the whole time, I never get tired. And so when I also have, but now you give me, yes, but Ines, but we are not still in the phase that we can do whatever we just love, because there are other things. Sometimes there are days that I have to just take care of the finances. There are days that I have to do things, there is a problem with the showroom and sometimes I have to go there. There is a problem with a package. I have to go myself into DHL in the airport, like sometimes there are things that you have to do that you don't like, especially in the beginning of a business. Okay. But if everything drains you, then you are off center. But now you ask me, okay, how can I have vitality always, even when I do the things that are not my highest gift? There are specific practices that you must love. There are specific practices that increase your vital force energy. And you have to balance with activities and tasks that you love, that you are passionate about. If you'd love to do social media posts, focus more on social media posts. If you love to write, there are days from one, my Sundays is the day that I love to write, that I write these master classes. It's not like a day I'm working. For example, Sunday is not a day that I'm going to do things that I don't like. I do things that I love. So like writing what's next for my master classes. I do structure always nowadays. Of course I'm here channeling for you, but I always have a structure. There are days I take days off to really go silent and make a clear structure with tools, with insights, with a sense for you to come here. So on those days I like to do this. Something that I love to do is retouching pictures. I love to, sometimes I take photographer for my brand, of models, for my brand, for the clothes. And sometimes I like to do Lightroom, being in the Lightroom, like managing the colors. Something I love to do is coloring, the color adjustments, the Pantone adjustments. Sunday is also that I'm like, oh, inspiration for next collection, inspiration for my next program. So it's a day of things that I love. Okay. And so I balance, and I have the practices, the tantric practices that really help me to bring vitality, to bring this glow. And this year is the year of embodiment. It's the year the more you are connected with your body, the more you listen to your body, the more you understand who you are. I'm giving you an example of how this is life-changing in my life. For example, last year, this is insane. Last year, this applies to everything. When you are connected with your body awakens an intelligence that sharpens your intuition on another level. And this applies in relationships. It tells you when you are with the right people, the wrong people, for example, in relationships. If I start dating the wrong people, I immediately start having strange sensations in my body. There are specific sensations that start to happen, or have to become itchy. My skin becomes itchy. It's one of the signs I know something is off. It's like when you eat the wrong food for your body feels. It tells you feel bad. So my yoni tells me immediately when I'm with the wrong person. And beyond the intuition, The incredible intelligence that these practices awaken you is also the grounding that these practices give and are fundamental for us being connected into the world, in love, life, in our businesses, our purpose, everything. Because I'm a Pisces, I'm water. If I don't grow, if I don't ground, if I don't have practices to ground myself, if I don't practice to connect me with the world, if I don't have embodiment, if I'm disconnected from my body, my world is chaotic. That is the tendency of myself and the majority of women. Because this is the feminine energy. The feminine energy is, can naturally, the tendency is to go chaotic if it doesn't have a structure. So if we want to hold big things, we need to understand about how to structure things. And what helped me to be more grounded was the work of embodiment. Helped me to have a clear vision around things, because when I had to start to hire people. It's a business that you have to hire people. You have to hire the right supplier. You have to hire a lot of people for this kind of businesses. And what makes me fail less? It's that gut feeling, those feelings in the body that tell me, do this, don't do that. Like, this is wrong, this is off center, this is right. So the work of embodiment became much more than just about myself. It started to affect relationships, aligned my social network, it aligned my business, it made me much more intelligent, much more grounded, much more mature. Because one of the things that sexuality gives you, the work of embodiment, awakening sexual vital force energy, when you connect with your body, the more energy you have. And energy, sexual vital force energy, is energy of creation. And sexuality matures you, makes you a mature woman. How have I grown up in this way? Faster. Because of the work of sacred sexuality. Because sacred sexuality is going to move things faster in the world for you. Because awakens your power of creation. You create more. It brings you vitality. You expand more, and everything else expands. Sexuality is going to move energy in your body. When you move energy in your body, you're going to move also your traumas. You're going to move your wounds. You're going to move all your emotions. And when you move them, you become clear about them. It's when you have an opportunity to choose, am I going to work on myself? Am I going to process them? And then you are able to process them. You are able to clear them. The way you are going to behave in relationships, the way you are going to behave towards people. You will become aware where you act from your shadows, where you act from I want to be seen versus I want to inspire people. Where do you act from fear, or where do you act from desire? And when you start moving from acting from your shadows to acting from your highest version, and you have a clear vision of what is what, you become a much more mature person in the way you act with every single thing in life. And so the work of embodiment, talking about I'm just going to. want to just see something here. So the work, talking about the body, the horse has a part of the body that is inviting you. It's about the solar plexus. Last year, we were clearing, was the year of the serpent. Kundalini energy is a serpent. But the serpent to rise, you have to clear its ground. You have to, for her to rise, she needs to shed the mask. She needs to shed her skin for her to rise. It's like a phoenix also. It comes from the ashes. This is a year to keep working on your pelvic floor. Last year, we were working with the sacrum as well, with your, it's where the serpent lives. Clearing everything that is not making your Kundalini vital force energy rising. Because when you are off center, you don't have energy, you don't have vitality, you don't have inspiration, you don't have motivation, right? So it is important to do this work because we need to have motivation for life. Why is it important to connect with our passions, to connect, to have something that we love? Because without that, we don't feel inspired. What makes us wake up in the morning and feel motivated to do something is love. We do it because we love it. We do it because it charges us. It makes us feel good. We know that is aligned with your heart. No one feels inspired by something that they don't love. Right? And you know what is very important for sexual vital force energy? You know where actually erotic energy starts in a female body? It's in the heart. Without love, without connection, in everything in life, in business, in relationships, we don't feel alive. We don't feel inspired. We don't feel creative. It is so important, this energy of the horse that is coming for this year, because it is about personal power. And when we have personal power, we have less fear. And we have less fear to take risks, important risks and changes in life. Because if we don't have the energy, if we don't love something, if we don't believe in ourselves, we don't take a risk. I constantly, when I do these practices, have the vision. How many of you really are here because you really have this vision, even in your hidden dreams, that you are this super powerful woman, like, you know, you have felt it in your body, like there is a possibility that you are this, you can achieve in this lifetime, not in the next one, in this lifetime, and you want it to be this powerful woman that can manifest anything that she wants, that she has the most beautiful house, she has the most beautiful energy, she has this orgasmic life the whole time. And she builds her empire, she builds a dream that's gonna impact generations while she is living in this vitality. Because my highest goal is not to have a 7-8 figure business or to have a big empire. My goal is to have an empire while I'm the most orgasmic person. For me, the most important thing that has to be the center of everything and has to be the full of my expansion is my energy. I need to feel good. I want to feel in love the whole time. And when I'm not in love, in my romantic life, I am in love with what I do in the world. But there is always something I'm deeply passionate about. So when I'm not sexual enough, and I had this podcast because I have had periods of celibacy that are incredibly important to recenter yourself, to come back to your energy, to understand who you are incredibly important when you're doing personal development, so you don't have interference of another energy field in your life. You are completely focused on yourself. But the downside of that, it's if you don't have a sexually active life in your life and someone you are deeply in love with, and if you don't have something in life you love to do, very soon you will feel demotivated in life and burned out. Even if you are not working, how many people that I know that don't have a work, many people who are housewives and feel burned out. They don't have a job and they feel completely depleted because they're off center in their marriages, in their purpose of life, in everything. So it has nothing to do with the amount of action. It has to do with the amount of currencies of love and passion flowing in your life. Do you know how I found my passion? Do you know how I channeled my brand when I was doing embodiment practices? I was connecting more with my body, more and more, and my body was showing me the vision was my body. When I wake up and do these practices, I wake up and I have an amount of energy for the whole day that is insane. So even if I'm celibate or I'm in a relationship, I am sexually sovereign. I am a generator of energy myself. And that's one of my the purpose in life. And when I'm disconnected from my energy, if I go and work and like go crazy, it's just not gonna land in people. I will feel people are not magnetized by me anymore. I don't feel magnetic. People, like the opportunities, the people, everything disappear. And I try to push and push and push, and maybe I have to do more and more podcasts, more this, more that, and it's not gonna work because it's the energy and how I do it. It's the embodiment. First, I charge myself, and then I take action. That's the path of the horse. First, you charge, then you have this personal power. You activate your creativity, and then you take the risk. You act. Does it make sense for you? So this is really very important, and the most important, it's like a daily, it's like you go to the gym, you eat, you drink water, and you do embodiment practices, because those are the key for entrepreneurs who work a lot, are life changing. Processing your emotion, you know how much it drains you to have unprocessed sadness in your body, unprocessed emotions. you had a discussion with your boyfriend, you didn't want to say no, you didn't want to discuss, but you felt inside the frustration, you will see the next day how drained you are. Or, when you didn't say your truth, but mentally you are looping. And you enter in loops and loops that drain you, but you don't know how to express and process them. And then the loop takes over, you feel mentally drained, and you have no vital force energy for the next day. Do you experience this in your life? It's the lack of mastery, of overcoming these mental loops. We have to train. We have to become masters in our emotional, mental, and energetic body to thrive, to be entrepreneurs who are impacting the world, who want to create empires, but being great people, but being, I want to be this person who wants to be remembered, like who falls, goes through massive challenges, raised by myself. I didn't have mama, papa, nothing. I had to raise by myself the whole time, or supportive husband, or supportive. What's the secret? Mastering these bodies. No matter what happens in my life, I have the tool to process it. It's not in the power of, this is the year that we have to stop putting power over others. Like, oh, it's the healer who is going to heal me. Oh, my success depends on the mentor. This is a year of personal power. Here you say, this depends on me. I take a mentorship and I'm fully open, I'm fully in, I'm putting all of myself. This happened to me, and I know where there is a way in, there is a way out. There are also the tools to overcome it. I'm not going to any witch to do I don't know what. I'm gonna do the alchemy myself. I will look into my life, I will be so honest, and I will change it. It's the year that I wanted to end the end of the year and say, like, I'm in this level that anything I want, I have the power to conquer it. When you feel this amount of energy in your body, this is the sensation that you feel. This is why I want everyone to feel this energy, to be so connected with their bodies, because when you are, you know that you have the power is fully in your body. Your body, it's an incredible technology to overcome anything. It's a year to connect with what you desire, because what you desire leads you to your passion. It's a year to not feel obligated by nothing, but to have the personal power to take the risk, to act. The personal power to look into the shadows and say, I'm going to alchemize them. I'm going to go deep and I'm going to rise like a phoenix. And even if you have less resources than others, you're going to overcome it because when you overcome something, I'm going to tell you one of the things I'm most proud about that made me feel, I wouldn't feel the powerhouse I feel if I had all I have from a place of just desire. Let's say, like, I had a very easy life that, I had a supportive, family, supportive husband, supportive everything. And I created from being so abundant. That's one way. But what I'm so proud of is I have achieved moving from that way without having anything. When I was in complete survival, when I was in complete fear, when I had so much trauma in my body, and I alchemized that. And from that gives me nowadays the power to say, I know if I have overcome that, I can overcome anything. That is what gives me the confidence to guide clients at any stage where they are, in any problem that they bring to me. Because I have come out of massive darkness. And where there is a way in, there is a way out, always. When you are in a challenge, 100% God has put it somewhere the way out. We just don't have the clarity to see. But when you connect with your body, you have all the answers. Like one of the feedbacks that I'm having in my program, it's beautiful because, you know, sometimes they say, oh my God, like recently I have been having this amount of realizations. They start to come more realizations. They start to have more breakthroughs because they are awakening this intelligence in the body that starts to tell them where to go next, what was misaligned. And the things they couldn't see 2 months ago, now they can see it. Because their bodies are showing. The energy field is clear. And how we are all looking for the crystal ball with the witch, but the crystal ball is inside. And this is the year more than ever that we have the invitation for this work. It's in the air. If you want to go into embodiment, you're going to expand. Is the year that those who are disconnected from this force, this inside, not the one that you channel, it's the one that is inside, are exploding, are going to move. And this is a transmission I had for today. It's a beautiful time. More than understanding what am I going to manifest, what's the biggest dream, what's the possibilities, is we are still in the last days of the serpent. What? Look into your shadows. What is it blocking in my life? Last night, I had a conversation with one of my best friends, and I felt quite bad. And then I sent her a message asking sorry. Because one of my forms of showing love is through showing you where you are sabotaging yourself. Sometimes I see clearly in blind spots, and my form of love is like, fuck, wake up. Look at this. Love is not just being soft and, like, you can do it, I'm with you. This is also important, but sometimes we need to be shaken. And I was tough on her last night, really tough. And I was feeling, oh my God, and she's a Cancer, and I'm like, oh my God, and I was feeling so bad. And then but something activated on her. It's one of the ways when you are in my programs, you will understand. Sometimes I'm tough, and I speak about tough themes. I speak about deep themes. It's like people see stuff very fast, and things alchemize very fast because you see where you are leaking your energy. And she just messaged me a beautiful message saying that she's so grateful because I'm a lioness and I'm all scorpionic energy, but deep down I'm a sweet Pisces. And she said, like, what you said me yesterday woke me up. And she had a dream so deep, was such a release. And it's kind of interesting because she has not been sleeping well. And today I saw her score and she slept amazing. I'm going to also tell her that. And she was actually very grateful. I was so relieved when she sent me this message. Sometimes life is not going to show you love in a soft way. Sometimes for us to get strong, for us to really move forward, take action, become the horse, we have to be shaken. Sometimes we are waiting too much for the divine timing to happen. We are being too nice. And love also burns if it's necessary, what no longer is aligned. Where I grew the most towards love was when I was shaken profoundly, when the mats were taken and I had no other way than looking and acting towards alignment. So love is not always soft. Love sometimes is about showing you where you are lying, where you are sabotaging, where you are like, stop this shit. And that shock will move you towards love. As well. And the horse is about action. It's about being bold. We are on the last days of the snake. So it's Wednesday this week. And this month we also have, I think we still have we have 2 more classes also inside the program. I couldn't recommend more than the work we are doing inside the program, inside Alchemy of Love and Intimacy, because it's really life-changing. It's about working on vital force energy through removing what is completely misaligned. And focus then in the highest things, in the highest version. It is really, it is really. And this year, it's our year. It's the year of embodiment. So I'm sure this is the year. I think it's going to be the best year possible to this kind of work. So if this is something that also moves you further, I'm agree saying it is really because, she's in it. And if something that really calls you, you still have some days to also enter. All the tools are available. We are the first generation with all the tools to change this world. To have none of our ancestors have this, what we are having that now at our age. Think of that. It's a decision. And so if you also feel to enter in this class that we are going to have for the whole year of this deep work, true deep work, it's not for beginners, it's really advanced work. Advanced and month after month compounds. It's really the great work of the soul. You work on every field of your life. And I can guarantee you by the end of this year, 2027, it's going to change the life of everyone. And the end of this year, there is another person. In 2 months or in 1 month, they already feel it. And so, if you're watching the replay here, if you're watching the podcast, you are super invited. And thank you so much for coming. And I'm so sorry that the emails were not going through. But I'm sure that, in everyone is going to see this in the replay, in the podcast. So thank you so much for making it live. And see you soon. Big kiss.